Hey everybody, Robert Brennan again. Now, I put a video up a few weeks ago on how to can chicken stock, and obviously the biggest question is, what recipe do I use for my chicken stock? Well, we're going to go ahead and show you that recipe today, so stick around. Alright, so I promised you guys 3 methods of cooking chicken stock today, and the first one I'm going to show you is using the pressure cooker. Now this is the fastest way to get to chicken stock, and it's going to produce a pretty okay chicken stock, but it can be a lot better. It can be richer, it can be darker in color, so I'm still going to show you this method, but there is something a little bit better. The second one I'm going to show you guys today is using the slow cooker. This is going to produce a really rich, deep flavored, deep body stock. It's basically the same thing as going on the stovetop and letting it simmer for a long time. It's just that I can simmer it in here and have a lot of control over things and not be using my stovetop for 12 hours. So it's a 12-hour method and it's going to produce great chicken stock, but it's kind of long, right? So the last method I'm going to show you is kind of a hybrid that I've kind of come up with. It's basically going to use the pressure cooker to get things started. Then we're going to simmer and have a slow sort of simmer that's going to create those deep, rich flavors. But we're going to be able to do it in half the time. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So what we need to get started is some thyme and rosemary. All right, you can get this from your garden or you can get this from the store, but this recipe is per pound of chicken. So we need 2 sprigs of the thyme and a pinch of rosemary per pound of chicken. We also are going to need 1 bay leaf per pound of chicken, and that's a dried bay leaf. And then we're going to need 5 to 10 peppercorns per pound of chicken. 5 if you don't like pepper that much, 10 if you like pepper like me. So I'm going to put 10, but 5 to 10 is about average. Then you're going to need 1 onion. We're going to need 2 cloves of garlic. And then we're going to need 2 ribs of celery. And then we're going to need 2 carrots. And if you're buying the store-bought carrots, they're going to be, about a foot-long carrot. And those are the kind of 2 I'm talking about. Now, for me, I have these carrots that just came out of the garden, and they're more so like a baby carrot size, right? So if you guys have carrots this small out of the garden or even from the store, you're going to want about 8 of these to equal sort of the 2 store-bought carrots, right? So we're going to put those off to the side. Now, of course, you're going to need your chicken. So what I have here is a whole pile of chicken carcasses that I've been saving up. And basically what I do is whenever I'm working with chicken, whether I'm breaking a chicken down or whether I have some scrap pieces, chicken neck, whether I have chicken backs, things like that, I basically throw them into a bag, throw them into the freezer, and forget about them for a few months until I have sort of 7-8 pounds of chicken that I'm going to be dealing with, and then I can make big batches of stock at once. That being said, if you don't have a freezer full of chicken parts, it's not a big deal. You can go to the store and you can buy backs. You can actually literally buy chicken parts, and they're quite cheap, usually about $2 per pound. If you're at a farmer's market, ask the chicken farmers if they have chicken parts laying around. Otherwise, even chicken thighs or chicken wings will make great chicken stock. So go ahead and get yourself at least a pound for this recipe. Now, this is sort of a little bit of a secret to making really good chicken stock, and that's developing good flavor and body. And to do that, we're going to take raw onion, raw garlic, raw celery, raw carrot, and raw chicken, and we're gonna roast it off and get that really delicious roasted flavor, right? This is gonna be like Thanksgiving or Christmas kind of flavors in the air, and it's gonna make a delicious, tasty chicken stock. So what you wanna do is take some parchment paper and go ahead and line 2 trays of parchment paper if you're going to be doing a whole lot of chicken like me. Otherwise, if you only got a pound's worth of chicken for this one particular recipe, 1 tray ought to do you. But this is a scalable recipe, so again, it's per pound of chicken is how much of this other stuff you're going to need, all right? So now all we got to do is put everything into the roasting trays and get them into an oven. That being said, why don't you go ahead and start your oven cooking right now. We're going to bring it up to 450 on broil. All right, so I like to start by laying down the chicken first. So just go ahead and take it out of its package and just get it into the tray. You can just go ahead and break up some celery by hand and get that in there. If you have large carrots, you can go ahead and snap them to put it in there. Otherwise, if you got really small carrots, don't even bother. Just go ahead and toss them in. And then we're going to add the cloves of garlic, and you can go ahead and just leave these right in the skin. What's going to happen is they're going to kind of start to caramelize and be like roasted garlic inside there. So we'll go ahead and throw those in. And then we're just going to have the onion and go ahead and tuck those in there. Again, 1 per pound. And now we're going to add the peppercorns. Now before you start touching all these jars that you're going to end up putting back in your cupboard, make sure you wash those chickeny hands, right? So we're going to add 5 to 10 per pound. And we want 1 bay leaf per pound. And it's 2 sprigs of rosemary per pound. And go ahead and leave the stems in as well. There's lots of really great flavor there. And just a pinch of rosemary per pound. So, you know, say about that much. Alright, now that you have everything ready to go, we're going to go ahead and put this into the oven, and we're going to let it sit for about 15 minutes. Then we're going to open the oven, come back, stir it around, put it in for another 15 minutes. We're probably going to do this about 4 times just until everything's nicely caramelized. Alright, the chicken's come out of the oven, and as you can see, we have a lot of really nice caramelized flavor here. Now my slow cooker out. I'm going to just take the lid off. And pretty much just everything in here needs to go into here. So now that we have everything nice and tucked away inside the slow cooker, we need to add our water, okay? And we're going to be using the same recipe, so it's 1 pound of chicken equals, and it's going to be 5 cups of water. Now we're going to use cold water, as cold as the sink can give us, and that way it's going to help keep our chicken stock nice and clear. So we'll add 5 cups of water. Alright, lid on. We're going to plug her in and set that to low, and we're going to let this go ahead and just simmer for a good 12 hours. Meanwhile, let's get our pressure cooker pot ready. So pressure cooker, much the same way. Just get everything into the pot. And once again, with the coldest tap water from your sink, 5 cups per pound. Alright, so we'll get the lid locked into place. And go ahead and move this to the stovetop. So we're going to put it on medium heat and wait till we get a steady stream coming up from the vent pipe. Then we can go ahead and place our weight on, and then we're going to wait for the pressure to come up to 15 psi. Once we've reached 15 psi, then we can go ahead and start our timer for 40 minutes. The pressure lock just released, so we're going to go ahead and remove the weight. And then we can go ahead and remove the lid. Now we're going to make sure that we open the lid away from us because there's still going to be quite a bit of steam and it's going to be very hot. Here you can see the pressure cooker stock bubbling away, and this is fully complete for pressure cooker stock. So what I'm going to do is take a sample of this stock that we can use for later comparison to the other 2 versions. Now this is where the hybrid method comes in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down to a medium-low heat and maintain just a simmer. So you can see in here we're barely bubbling. We're just simmering away. And we're going to stay at this simmer for another 4 hours. So our hybrid chicken stock is now done. And we're going to go ahead and take a sample to compare to. Inside of a clean sink, we're just going to put a container that's going to hold all of our chicken stock into the sink in case we spill over. And then we're going to add a fine mesh strainer on top of that. Now carefully, we're going to pour in our chicken stock through the strainer. Now we're just going to let this sit inside of the sink to cool. Once it's come to about room temperature or so, we can put this chicken stock in the refrigerator to sit overnight. So here's our stock after sitting in the fridge overnight, and you can see there's kind of this buildup and this crust that's formed. This is all the chicken fat. So if you want a fat-free chicken stock, all you have to do now is just take a spoon and scoop off that fat. And now after a full 12 hours, we have our slow simmer stock. And we're going to go ahead and take a sample of that to compare to the others as well. This lightest one in color here is the pressure cooker method. It's a little bit lighter and it has a little less body and flavor. The second one is the hybrid method that we used, and as you can see, it is a little bit darker and it definitely has more body and flavor. And the last one is the one that's the darker and the most rich, and this is the one that we made inside of the slow cooker and took 12 hours. Now obviously this one does look the best, but I gotta be honest with you, for half the time this method definitely tastes almost just as good and definitely worth it. So I hope that now you guys know how easy it is to make chicken stock, and whether you choose to use the super slow method or the really fast method, it just won't stop you from making your own chicken stock. It's really great stuff. Now as far as storing this stuff, you can have a few choices, okay? You can put it in the freezer for about 3 months. You can put it in your refrigerator for about a week. But if you're gonna go through all the trouble of making your own chicken stock, make a really big batch. I have a video on how to pressure can this stuff and put it downstairs in your storage room, and you're gonna have this stuff for 6 months to 2 years. So that being said, there's a link to that video right here. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. And let me know what you're using your chicken stock for. Let me know any recipes you guys have cooking around for any sort of chicken soups or any sort of gravies. I'd love to see those comments below. But until next time, we'll see you later.